Hello and welcome to week 2 of your 30-day yoga journey, Spring Awakening with me, Noelle. Welcome to day 8, Root to Rise. So we are entering our week of water. So we are going to really explore this idea of fluidity and the emotional body. And later in the week, we're going to really begin to soften. And so embracing all what we worked on and kind of invited last week with the earth element, this grounding, we're going to transition root to rise. So really inviting that grounding energy as we also find a little bit more expression by finding postures where we're really bringing that energy up and grounding down at the same time. So hopefully you're going to have a little fun with it. You will want 2 yoga blocks at the top of your mat. We're going to come into a warrior 3, and so it's nice to bring the earth towards you for that. And other than that, I think that's all you'll need today. So we will all begin standing at the top of our yoga mats in Tadasana, feet hip distance apart, shoulders draw down and away from the ears, making sure your weight is distributed on all 4 corners of your feet. So right away, we are inviting this grounding energy as we rise up, this opposition of forces here. So as our tailbone energetically is reaching down towards the earth, the crown of our head is actively reaching up towards the sky. So close your eyes and maybe try to envision that subtle invitation of energy. Begin to connect to your breath. Hands at your sides or heart center, whichever feels good today. Maybe you set an intention for your practice or for your day. Maybe you work with a mantra. It can be as simple as I am fluid or I adapt, because what does water do except basically adapt to everything. When it's liquid, it moves around and up and over. When it gets cold, it hardens into ice, turns to vapor. It's just one of the most adaptable elements. So maybe sitting with that for a beat. Not locking in your knees, but always having just a slight bend in them. Softening the face, maybe any muscles in the jaw or between the brow. And we are going to begin today with some spinal waves, but we're going to do them while in our Tadasana instead of down dog to start. So inhale, reach your fingertips up towards the sky. Look at the screen if you need to. Maybe you come on your toe tips as you melt your heart all the way down, belly coming towards your thighs, and finding a forward fold for a second. Maybe you find some buoyancy in your knees as you curl your spine and rise up. So this is how we're going to find our spinal flexion today. So instead of a traditional cat-cow, we're going to inhale, reach our fingertips up and overhead, and then melt it down. Maybe you find some freedom of expression with the hands. Maybe you come into some dance-like side body stretches, finding some creative, intuitive movement expression within this little wave-like opportunity. So not really worrying about what it looks like, but seeing feelingly. Maybe you take an extra breath or two in a forward fold, connecting to your intuition, maybe to your creativity. That's another thing that the water element encompasses, is sometimes this idea of creative intuition. And so Once you've had enough of that, locate your blocks, and we're going to come into Warrior 3 on the right side. So bring your hands to the blocks or to the earth and kick your left heel out behind you. Spine is nice and long. Crown of the head is reaching forward as their tail is reaching back, kicking into that imaginary wall with your left heel. Left toes are pointing down towards the mat. We're going to go through the flow the first time nice and slow so we can get nice and cozy with it. And then the second round, we're going to try to really connect to one breath, one action. So from here, we're going to do 3 knee to noses in our warrior through. So inhale, extend. Exhale, bring it all into center, knee to nose. Maybe point your left toes. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, last one, extend. Exhale, knee to nose. And then the next time you kick your leg out, step it all the way back and find a high lunge. Deep, generous bend in that top knee. Hands are reaching up towards the sky. Nice and strong. Left heel is kicking back towards your back side of your mat. Staying connected to your breath. All right, from here, plant your left heel down as you straighten your right knee. So you're in these triangle legs. So your left foot is about a 45-degree angle pointing outwards. Keeping your hands up towards your ears, hinge at your hips and come into this triangle variation where we hover at about a 90-degree angle here. Take a look at the screen if you need to. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release, melt your belly all the way to the thighs, and allow your hands to basically do a motion up and overhead. One more breath here. And then inhale, generous bend in that top knee once again as you find your warrior 1. So hands back up in line with the ears, coming into as deep of a bend in that front knee as you can. Warrior 1. Root to rise. From here, float your fingertips down and interlace them behind your back. And then hinge at your hips. You might need to adjust your footing a little bit as we come into humble warrior. So your right shoulder comes to hug your right knee as you find your humble warrior. You're nice and strong in this front leg. It stays bent, and we hold here for a couple breaths. All right, root to rise. Straighten that front leg as you melt your left hand down. Reach your right fingertips up and overhead for a reverse triangle. Big side body stretch in that right side body. Your gaze is up towards the sky. Exhale as you unravel, windmill your arms so that your left hand either comes to a block or the floor on the inside of your right foot for a twisted triangle. All right, come onto the knife edges of both of your feet and melt your left hip down as you come into a revolved Skandasana. So beautiful opening in your left side body here. Feel it out for a moment, and then we're going to fly We're gonna fly our revolve skandasana. So making sure we're not collapsing into our left shoulder here. When you're ready, inhale and reach up and over as you rise up into basically like a Vashisthasana position. And then exhale, melt and float it all the way back down. Your gaze can follow your right fingertips. So inhale, rise up, reach up and overhead. Exhale, float it back down to revolve skandasana. One last time. Inhale, reach up and over as you rise up. Exhale, revolve skandasana. And then we're going to rise up, plant the right palm, step the right foot back, and come into plank. Feel free to lower your knees as you flow through your vinyasa. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. First downward facing dog of the practice, or maybe even of the day. So pedal it out. Connect to your breath and check in on your alignment. Are your ears in line with the shoulders? Are your feet in line with the hips, heels reaching towards the earth? Heart melting towards your thighs. Pedal it out. Maybe you do some spinal waves here to connect to that fluid-like energy, if that feels good. A few more breaths to explore and play before we take it to the other side. And then drop your right heel, lift your left heel towards the sky, square hip, and then step it in and through, coming into your warrior three, hands on your blocks or on the floor. Kicking that right foot out into an imaginary wall. Inhale, find length. Exhale, knee to nose. Two more just like that. Inhale, find length. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, last one. Exhale, knee to nose. And then the next time your right leg is extended, step it all the way back and find your high lunge, left side high lunge, generous bend in that left knee. Arms are reaching up and overhead. Beautiful. Root to rise. Feel out your lunge. Feel your strength. Connect to your breath. And then straighten that front knee as you come onto a 45-degree angle on that back foot and reach and hinge at your hips as you find this triangle variation. If the hands reaching forward is ever too much, you can bring them to heart center as well. Holding here, adjust your footing if you need. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax and melt that belly towards your thighs as your arms come up and over, or at least towards that direction. Opening into that left side hamstring, active energy in both feet. And then inhale as you rise up, finding your warrior one, generous bend in that front knee once again. Hands are up and overhead. Exhale, float them down and behind you, preparing for humble warrior on your left side. So inhale, find length. Exhale, melt it all the way forward, bringing your left shoulder into your left knee like they're hugging like magnets, and allowing your hands to drop up and overhead. Once again, allowing gravity to do the work. Legs are super strong. And then inhale as you rise up, straighten that front leg, reaching your left fingertips up and over as you melt those right fingertips down towards your right leg for reverse triangle. Gaze is at the sky or your left fingertips. Exhale, windmill your arms as you unravel, bringing, your right hand to the earth, reaching your left fingertip towards the sky. For your twisted triangle, gaze at your left hand or at the ground. Come onto the knife edges of both your feet as you melt your right hip down, finding your revolved skandasana. Left fingertips are pointing towards the back of the mat. Collect your bearings here before we fly or revolve skandasana. So inhale, reach up and over as you come into that plank-like position. Then exhale, melt it all the way down. Gaze following your left fingertips. Inhale, reach up and over as you rise up. Exhale, melt it down to your revolved skandasana. Last one, you're doing great. Inhale, up and overhead. Exhale, melt it down. And then bring your hands both to the top of the mat. Step your left foot back and flow through your vinyasa or skip it, meeting us all back in a downward facing dog. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. And then exhale, downward facing dog. If you would like to take a child's pose before we take it on the other side, please do. 3 to 5 buoyant releasing breaths here. So we're going to do that same exact sequence again, but we're going to make it super fluid. And so I'm going to basically just cue the breath and the asana. So if you need to modify or skip a pose here and there, listen to your body, stay connected to your breath. Try not to worry too much about keeping up. You can always, kind of catch up. That's the beauty of a home practice. And so when you're ready, plant your left heel, reach your right heel towards the sky, square hips, and then step it in and through between the palms and come into your warrior 3. Inhale, find length. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, warrior 3. Exhale, knee to nose. Last time. Inhale, warrior 3, find your length. Exhale, knee to nose. And then next time your left leg is extended, step it all the way back and find your high lunge. One breath here. Before you straighten that top leg, come onto the knife edge of that foot and hinge at your hips as you come into your triangle variation. Extra breath here. So we're in triangle legs. Then exhale, melt your belly towards your thighs and allow your hands to swing up and overhead. Inhale, rise up, finding your high warrior 1. As you exhale, melt those fingertips so they interlace behind your back. And then on your next exhale, melt your belly forward, 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 bringing your right shoulder to the inside of your right knee for humble warrior. Extra breath here. Inhale, straighten your leg as you rise up, melting that left hand down, reaching that right hand up, finding your reverse triangle. Exhale, windmill the arms, coming into your twisted triangle. Left hand comes to the block or to the earth. Right hand reaches up over, opening nice and wide. And then coming onto the knife edges of both feet, find your revolved skandasana. Inhale, reaching your arm up and overhead, rising up. Exhale, melting back down. 2 more. Inhale, reach your hand up overhead. Exhale, melt it down. Inhale, up and overhead. Last one. Exhale, melt it down. Plant your right palm towards the top of your mat. Step your right foot back. Flow through your vinyasa. Inhaling, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. 2 Beautiful releasing breaths here. Before we take it to the other side. All right, drop your right heel, lift your left heel up towards the sky, square hip, step it in and through, finding your warrior three. Inhale, find length. Exhale, knee towards your nose. Inhale, warrior three. Exhale, knee to nose. Last one, inhale, warrior three. Exhale, knee to nose. Then inhale, step it back and find your high lunge. Arms reaching up and overhead. Exhale, plant that heel, straighten that front leg, and hinge at your hips as you find your triangle variation for an extra breath. Super strong. Then exhale, melt that belly towards your thighs as you swing your hands up and overhead. And then you inhale to rise up to find your warrior one. Exhale, float your fingertips down and interlace them behind you as you melt your belly forward, forward, forward. Left shoulder inside your left knee, humble warrior for an extra breath. Root to rise as you straighten that front leg, coming into reverse triangle, left fingertips up and overhead as that right hand melts down. Exhale as you unravel, windmill your arms so your right hand comes on the inside of your left foot, opening into your twisted triangle. Come onto the outside edges of both feet, coming into revolve skandasana. Inhaling, reaching up and overhead. And then exhale, melting back down. Two more just like that. Inhale, rise and reach up and over. Exhale, revolve skandasana. Last one. Inhale, up and overhead, rising up. Exhale, revolve skandasana. And then bring your left hand to the top of your mat. Step your left foot back, coming to plank. Final call for vinyasa. Inhaling, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's take a big releasing breath all together here. So inhale, exhale, let it go. Walk your hands towards your feet and come into find a forward fold. Maybe do some wrist circles here. Generous bend in your knees if you'd wish. Belly melting towards your thighs. Maybe you interlace opposite elbows. Shake your head a little yes or a little no. Allowing the blood to flow opposite directions and opening into your back body. And once again, root to rise as you slowly rise all the way up, back into your Tadasana, hands at your sides, eyes are closed. Really coming back to the beginning of the practice where we started, really feeling that grounding energy as we stand tall in our mountain. Coming back to whatever intention or whatever mantra you're working with today. Coming full circle, back where we started. Bring your hands to your heart center. Maybe do a slight reverent bow. Giving thanks for your body. That is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed that Root to Rise practice. It was a little fiery. Hopefully you feel nice and warm. And hopefully you didn't get too lost in that second round there. That's a beautiful practice to do, to start the day and just really get your juices flowing. And so, if you enjoyed it, please leave a comment and like the video, subscribe so you don't miss anything, and I will see you tomorrow.